Hello chaps and chapesses, and this week I'm going to introduce you to Olly Thompson, who has joined our team at Aardvark McLeod. Welcome to Aardvark McLeod, Olly. This is our chance to allow people to get to know you a little bit. So Olly has spent the last 10 years as a professional guide all around the world, and we've been waiting for him to finally hang up his guiding boots and come and join us in a boring office job. I want to just introduce you to the YouTube channel, and I want to introduce you to our clients, and so I'm going to start doing that by asking you a few questions which will enlighten our audience. So when and where did you start fly fishing, Olly?
Since the age of 6 I've been fly fishing. Born and bred, I'm a Norfolk boy.
Oh, man after my own heart.
Exactly. So I've started fishing in Norfolk, a small river called the River Tudd, which is a tributary of the Wensum.
Bit flat.
Bit flat, very unknown and actually underrated for its trout fishing.
Yeah.
So my childhood was catching fish of any species, and that slowly developed into trout fishing.
Did your father teach you, or was it something you discovered yourself?
Really discovered myself. Unfortunately, Dad's not the most talented fisherman in the world.
He's gonna get cross with you when he hears that.
But myself, my grandfather fished, he helped, as did close family friends. But for some reason it was really just my own drive more than anything that...
And an obsession was born.
Yeah, it just took hold quite early, and for whatever reason I didn't catch an awful lot. I don't know why I stuck with it, but I did.
Belligerence.
Yeah, stubbornness.
Stubbornness and belligerence.
Exactly.
Yep. That's a very good trait.
Yeah.
Especially in a fly fisherman. I think we got to know each other 11 years ago? Just before you started your first guiding job, I think?
Absolutely. It would have been just after I think I guided in Iceland, so 10, 11 years ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we've just been sort of keeping in contact as you've
touching base
as you've moved your way up through all the various different destinations. So where did you start guiding?
How it really worked out was I was still at university when I started guiding, looking for work in the summers of uni holidays. Managed to find a job in Iceland, so I guided the West Ranga primarily, and a little bit on the East Ranga as well.
It's been really interesting.
It was certainly an eye-opener, and having come from just an eye-opener to go to somewhere like Iceland and just
lots of fish.
A lot of fish.
Yeah.
And a nice place to cut your teeth, because there were plenty of fish to do.
It's a very, very important thing when you're really getting into it to begin with, because you can make lots of mistakes.
Yeah. Well, I made plenty. Still do.
Yeah, no, we all do. Every day's a school day.
Yeah.
And so from there, where did you then move on to?
Came to the end of university and had the normal thing of, well...
Do I get a proper job?
Yeah, do I get a proper job? What do I do with myself? And I said, really asked myself, what would I most like to do? And fishing was it, guiding was it. So this led to getting work in Norway. Well, I worked for a Norwegian estate on a small river in Trøndelag called the River Mo. Yeah, I mean, it slightly snowballed from there. That took me to...
How many seasons did you do in Norway?
3 seasons.
3 seasons.
But I started in the off seasons. I started guiding in Argentina. So Norway then led to guiding for Dorado and at Pera in northern Argentina, which then led to Cautepen and going to the Rio Grande.
And the top of the food chain.
Exactly, and once I was in at Cautepen, I made more contacts, got to know Max, the Russian guide, who became a great friend. Max then brought me to the Pinoy, where I spent another 4 seasons. Guiding on the Pinoy, I ended up guiding Keith and Devan from Alphonse, and fortunately they both offered me a job at the end of the day, said come with us to the Seychelles, So that opened up.
So then you transition from fresh to salt.
Exactly, transition from like you say, fresh to salt.
I know very few guides who have transitioned from fresh to saltwater.
Well, it was something I always wanted to fish saltwater, but being a British guide, I didn't really see it as being possible. I mean, very few.
Very few. Well, I think as far as I remember, you were the only international British guide that was on the rounds.
Yeah, maybe the last after I've. We'll see, but yeah, I mean, it was just making the most of that opportunity, and they were kind enough to bring me on, and I spent 4 seasons there between.
Well, I remember our
atolls.
early discussions about that, and you were like, "Oh, I need kit, and I need this, and what do I need, and what should I get," and all of those discussions. And I'm just so glad that you made that transition, because I remember when I did, it was just like mind blowing.
It's, I mean, I love salmon fishing, I love trout, but for me I love sight fishing, and I don't really care in what aspect or what species it's
just
for.
the visual element of it.
Exactly. So I've also been lucky enough to spend a lot of time fishing in New Zealand myself, not guiding, just holiday.
Well, you can't always guide. You don't get to,
exactly.
If you're guiding, you don't get to fish.
Well, yeah, I needed to stop watching people fishing for a little bit. And
there's only so much vicarious fishing that you can actually do, and you actually need to get involved yourself.
So, and New Zealand really started the real love of sight fishing, and then I think that was obviously continued with the Seychelles.
Yeah.
And I love when you see a fish and it just asks the question, "Are you good enough?"
Are you good enough?
Are you good enough? Can you get the fly from A to B and do the right thing?
And make it do what it's supposed to.
Exactly, and if you can't, the fish normally lets you know quite quickly.
Gives you the fin.
Exactly, which I like how there's less middle ground than some forms of fishing. Not to say I love everything, but especially sight fishing.
So, of all the species that you've targeted, what do you think is your absolute favourite? What's your real go-to
and
fish?
This might be not an odd answer, but I still would find it hard to fish for anything but trout.
Yeah.
If someone could say
you can only fish for
you
one
can only
more
fish for one fish, for me it would still be trout. It's what I grew up with, and it's still where the heart lies more than anything. And the trout are very accessible. You can fish for them in such a wide range of waterways.
And they do so many different things.
They can be easy to catch, they can be difficult to catch.
They eat stuff.
They do eat as well, which is nice.
Which is nice. If you spend a lot of time as a salmon guide, something that actually eats is actually quite nice.
Yeah, and I do think there's few species that are as well designed for fly fishing as trout.
No, I think you're probably right.
But trout probably would be first, but then soon after would be probably permit.
Oh, the dreaded permit.
The dreaded permit.
Oh,
I love permit.
Another afflicted individual with...
Once it crawls under your skin, it's very hard to kind of get it out.
I cured myself.
Yeah.
I cured myself of permit fever.
Yeah.
By realising that after 3 years of not catching any fish, this was silly. So I then immediately stopped fishing for permit and then actually caught one. It was just boat fishing.
Once you stop caring so much...
Do you think that's the secret?
I think they're like salmon. They do smell the desperation.
They smell fear.
They smell fear when you want it. When you want it too much.
It's still one of the only fish where if I see it tailing or something like that, and my heart starts going like this, and the knees start juddering, and the casting goes to rats, and it's just.
But that's why it's so good.
You're right. You're right.
And when it does come together, which most of the time it doesn't.
It's an incredible feeling.
It is, and the fight's also horrible because it's unpredictable. They never give up. They often, even at the end of a fight, they seem to turn on their side and give the impression they're done. And just as you go to tell, they'll kick again.
Oh, that's happened to me on a couple of occasions.
So it's.
But you've caught both, haven't you? You've caught the Indo-Pacific permit and the Caribbean permit.
I have, yes. I mean, my background, obviously doing a lot of saltwater fishing in this Seychelles.
I might not talk to you for a little while,
Yeah.
you know, now that you've arrived. Don't take it personally.
That's fine. I'm happy with my own company. Yeah, my background from the Seychelles, I've mostly fished for Indo-Pacific palms. But having done a bit of fishing in Mexico and the Caribbean, I've been lucky there also.
If you had to pick a destination, what do you think your favourite destination that you've fished so far has been?
That I fish, it would be in Seychelles, Cosmolido, Astove.
The outer atolls.
The outer atolls. I haven't yet been to Providence. I'd love to go, and also New Zealand. Those outer islands of the Seychelles and New
It's
Zealand.
so wild out there.
The scenery is spectacular in all of the spots, and it's wild. Which is, for me, I love catching fish, but being in a wild place and not seeing anyone has a lot of value in it.
There's a lot
also,
of
yeah.
And also just potentially treading in areas where very few people have tread. I don't know what it is, but, well, I do know what it is. The further away you are from civilization, the better fishing it tends to be. And if you had one tip to give to a travelling fly fisherman after all of your travels and all of your years guiding, what would it be?
Be observant.
I completely agree.
Be really, and that comes across whichever factor of fly fishing you're doing, whether it's trout in the UK, saltwater fishing, salmon fishing. Be observant to move slowly and take in everything. Be observant to what the conditions are doing. If you're trout fishing, exactly what the hatches are doing, but just always be aware and observant to what's...
It's a really, really good point, that. It's because so many people just charge into the water, whether it's on a salt flat or whether it's on a river. They just want to get fishing and they're not spending enough time actually looking at the water they're going to fish.
Yeah.
And you are absolutely right, that's a really good tip.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what you're fishing for.
No, any species,
any
anywhere.
species, just be observant and take note of what's happening and never rush into something.
Now that you're here at Aardvark McLeod, this is the burning question. What's on your bucket list? What are the destinations that you want to go to that you haven't done?
There's a lot. I would love to do more of the trout fishing in Russia, especially on the Kola Peninsula. And the headwaters of some of the rivers like Karlovka, in Varzina, a lot of those have amazing trout fishing.
They've got great trout programs that no one ever goes to.
I know it's not you're not staying in a 5-star hotel, but if
the fishing's good enough, some people will think about it.
The trout, Bolivia, I've heard, friends of mine have been there, guided there. I've just heard, obviously the fishing is special, but the place also is
spectacular, I think.
Meant to be spectacular. And I'd love to fish Poivre for permit.
Poivre, the great permit destination. We'll keep those in mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, anyway, I really just wanted to welcome Olly to Aardvark McLeod. I hope that if you have fished with him in the past, you will drop him an email at olly@aardvarkmcleod.com or touch base with him in the office. And as always, I hope this video was interesting, and I hope you will like and subscribe to our channel, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.